guess whose camera just died while making a video. How y'all doing? It's Bookspring Peace, and I'm going to remake a video for you because my camera just went. And so now I'm going to redo it. You get to have the pleasure of me remaking a video. Yeah, I had a whole introduction too where I was playing the little diddly piano. I'll do it again for you. In case you didn't know, we have been doing book reviews. I have been slacking on them, and it's time to redo them. Stay hydrated. I'm gonna hurry so my camera don't get wonky again. First book, The Great Gatsby. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of this book with, I would say my only favorite character, or the only character that I liked was Jordan Baker, and that was because she was the only decent person in the story. Everyone was either cheating on people, trying to convince people to cheat on people, or just not morally right. And everyone was rich, and I felt like that was unrelatable, unless you happen to live during... Oh! Hello? Did you just tilt away from me? Unless you lived in this time. But I will say, it is a good story to tell about how America developed into its society during the Gilded Age, Roaring 20s, or the Jazz Age. And, you know, basically that developmental feeling before, you know, World War II, the Great Depression, and all that misery. So I think this is a good portrayal of the American spirit at the time. It's always good to note that he's able to accomplish this story in so few pages. I'm always a fan of a good novella that has a lot to tell and a lot impacted into it because it's so small. Next up, we have one of my... It flew away. One flew over the cuckoo's nest! Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so cheesy. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm so excited to tell you about this book because it is now one of my favorites. The story that it has about McMurphy and Nurse Ratched and the symbolism portrayed in this book is absolutely phenomenal. A book that this reminded me of, or a movie I should say, but it's also a book, is the book Fight Club, made into a movie. I watched the movie. I was not a huge fan of it because I just didn't like some of its content, and, you know, I didn't fully grasp the story at the time. But I would say essentially those have very similar plots, but I definitely enjoyed this one's more. So basically, I'm going to tell you all the plot. This book's been out for 50 years. Go buy it, go read it, and I'm going to spoil it for you. Basically, what happens is Nurse Ratched is taking care of a psychiatric ward of men. There's this main character, Chief, and he hasn't spoken in like 10 years. He is Native American, and so Chief Bromden, he just sweeps around. People think he's mute, but he can actually speak, and they think he's deaf too. And one day, McMurphy comes into the ward, and he's completely sane. He just wants to join for the heck of it. And he creates a boisterous and rambunctious group of men together when they were once complacent under the firm iron fist of Nurse Ratched. So basically that last loss of control really made her angry, and so they sort of had like a psychological warfare going on for the entire book until the very end, when basically Nurse Ratched ended his reign by giving him a lobotomy. And
he can do that no more.
And so, like, the story had me in tears almost, I'm telling you. I freaking love this book. The dialogue is so amazing. Oh my gosh. Like, you can just feel the tension as you're reading. And it's not even a horror novel, but I was on the edge of my seat, like, my heart racing as to see, like, what would happen. And as it's, like, symbolism is men in society wanting to venture more, wanting to have a will of life for more, but being constantly battered down by the community of what thinks this is the limit, this is what needs to be kept. And I mean, this could be applied to a lot of things, and so its ambiguity, I would say, is really, like, you can have good ambiguity and bad ambiguity. I'm not sure if I was even saying that right, but like, I think this is the good ambiguity because you could really apply it to a lot of things. I 100% recommend this book. I love it. I'm going to read it again. I love it. I love it. That video I made about my top 5 favorite books, out the window. Some of those were garbage. This is definitely up there. Next up we have Stephen King. Ow, my eye. Ah! Okay. Oh my gosh. Stephen King. Sorry, I'm gonna do that. Anyway, very creepy book, and so I'm gonna tell you a real quick story because I already told the story in my other video, but it got deleted, so I'm gonna say it again. I used to work at a furniture store. It was late at night, and it was just me and my manager. We were working a late shift, and we never worked late shifts. Like, we closed at like 5. But like, it was real late at night. It was stormy, you know, classic horror stuff, and I was like closing and locking a door at the back of the store, which wasn't actually there, but it was a steep hill with a bunch of trees. And this tall man with acromegaly, or just like a really tall man with long extremities, like came crawling out of the woods with black eyes. Ooh, and it gave me them chills. So essentially that was like the Moonlight Man for me, and I'm like, I have to read this book. I have to read this book when I woke up. And so as I was reading it, I forgot and immediately realized Stephen King is known for his horror, but he's also known for how disturbing his books are. So the scene when Jesse's dad and Jesse watch the solar eclipse together, I was about to throw up. That stuff was really got me. Even the ending was really good, and I loved it. Like, he's able to make such simple things very important to the plot of the story, and I really just love that. Like, he made a glass of water like one of the most important things in this story, and when you can simplify something and have a simple setting, and you're able to pack so much into it, that's amazing. I yearn to one day be able to write a story with something very simplistic and yet still pack a punch. I mean, she's literally strapped to a bed. She ain't going nowhere. He tells a story basically for 400 pages of how a scary story goes down. And so, I mean, like, wow, that's impressive. Okay, on to my last book, because I've been starting editing and it's been taking a lot of my time, yada 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 yada. Reading like another book too, but I wasn't able to finish it before December, so that will be in my Christmas edition, or my winter edition. I should do a Christmas edition. That's a good idea. My last book is Educated by Tara Westover. Essentially, what happens in this book is that Tara Westover is raised in a strict Mormon family where her dad is very overbearing and does not let them go to public school, and essentially keeps them home constantly because he's afraid of the government. And so yes, she is a devout Mormon as well, but she grows distant from her family as she starts going to see the world and realizing there's more than just living in a household and getting married and having lots of children. And she goes from not attending public school to getting a PhD with a Harvard education. But what I really love is she made it so relatable. Like, a lot of my friends said, this is like such an easy book to read because she's like another person. Like Stephen King, he has a knack for this type stuff. This person, these books, they spoke in like a bunch of symbolism and stuff, but like she's actually telling a story because it's a memoir. And yes, she has morals that she wants to elicit and all that good jazz, but she really does it in simplistic language. What's important about this novel is that she not only talks about the education that she receives in colleges and stuff, but she talks about being educated in the world and how it's so different from living basically in a little bubble in her parents' household. And I found that story very fascinating because it was like stuff you wouldn't expect, and it's like going to another country sort of. She never used that analogy, but I would imagine that's one that I would see would fit. And her story is interesting. I thought it wouldn't be, but a good friend said, you should read this, you should read this, and so I'm like, fine, I will. And I thought it was very good, and so I'm glad I did. But this ending really did sadden me because even though she got a big education and she became very successful. She did not end on very good terms with her parents, and that sort of made me sad. And what's interesting is her mom even wrote a book that'll end up my fall book review, or autumn for you fancy people. Not a lot of books, I'm sorry, but I'm going to improve that. And there's some other announcements that I should mention. I'm going to edit my book as fast as possible and re-edit, because I thought the majority of book writing was editing, but no, it's actually re-editing. So that's gonna take some time, and I'll be crunching that over the next few months. Cedripius has been taking a long break because she has lacked inspiration, but she told me that things are really gonna pick up after in the new year. She and I have been working on a project that I really wanted her to do, and so she finally let me. We're gonna release a project before the new year, and it's gonna be really funny, and I can't wait to see y'all's reaction about it. And until then, I wish y'all the best. Stay hydrated, because if you did not know, you get more dehydrated in the winter than in the summer.
How is that possible?
Well, let Books Bring Peace educate you. When you breathe out during the summer, you're releasing water, because in cellular respiration, you ingest glucose and oxygen, and your output is carbon dioxide and water, believe it or not. That's water on your hand. And so during the summer, if you in the deep south like I am, you basically boil in a pot of water, and so that water's not going anywhere. But when in the winter, there's no humidity, and it's really cold outside. So when you breathe it out, it mists into air, and you're not retaining any of that water. You need to stay hydrated. So guzzle that water, I'm telling y'all. I wish y'all the best, and until next time, I will play outro music for you. Bye. Peace.